One of my greatest missions in life is to figure out how to make science simple. It's not just about the science. It's about really understanding what is going on within our body when we take care of ourselves and when we don't. I'm a firm believer that it is critically important to practice daily self-care in the way that we eat, the way that we sleep, the way that we meditate, the way that we exercise, even the way that we breathe. But the fact of the matter is, it's really hard to convince someone to take care of themselves if they don't understand the adverse consequences of failing to do so. So in order for me to help inspire people to take better care of themselves, one of my greatest things that I strive to do is to ensure that I can explain the science behind why I am encouraging you to eat, to exercise, to sleep, to do all of these different self-care activities. Because for me, you can tell me all day long that I need to breathe and that I need to meditate, but the fact of the matter is, until I understand why that is doing something beneficial for my body, it is not an important behavior for me to incorporate into my daily routine. I love it when other people make science simple, engaging, entertaining, memorable, and fun. And that's exactly what my guest today does. Syed Rizvi is the founder of REV MED. And today he and I talk about how we can go about making science simple, entertaining, and memorable. I've decided that my major goal is to help people take care of themselves. Syed and REV MED are on a mission to ensure that people who are becoming physicians and nurses and pharmacists have an easier time memorizing and recalling and actually internalizing all of the information that goes into becoming a physician, a pharmacist, a nurse, a dietitian, all of the different healthcare jobs. There's so much to learn. How can we make science simple? It's what the show is all about today. Let's get to it. Welcome to the Lindsay Elmore Show, a podcast for people who deserve to be healthy, with honest, open, and enlightening conversations with doctors, thought leaders, creatives, and spiritual gurus. You'll walk away with simple and tangible tips and tricks that allow you to live your healthiest life so you can pursue your dreams, overcome obstacles, and leave your mark. Syed Rizvi is the founder and lead educator of REV MED, an online medical education platform that is teaching and empowering healthcare students globally using art and color. He is a committed lifelong student of medicine, an author who calls himself an accidental educator, illustrator, and counselor. Syed is passionate about leveraging social media to improve student retention and narrow education gaps. He and his team at REV MED are actively dissecting medical education, cutting the fat, and injecting simplicity. He and his team have been reaching healthcare students on every continent around the world and has created a community of learners who now have a safe space to become the absolute best physicians, nurses, pharmacists, and medical professionals that they can be. Syed has been published in medical societies, organizations, as well as peer-reviewed journals. His most recent work is an answer to the United Nations and World Health Organization's global call for creative works representing the COVID-19 pandemic. He and his team published an illustrated guidebook to understanding how the virus is impacting our health and how healthcare professionals can answer difficult questions with ease. Syed Rizvi, welcome to the Lindsay Elmore Show.
Thank you. Thank you. Glad to be here.
I'm so excited to talk to you. I'm a huge fan of your work because I love anybody who understands how to make science simple and how to make science understandable, because it has been veiled in this shroud of it must be complex, it must be difficult, when really, if you break it down, make it fun, make it engaging, make it memorable, that is going to make it so easy to understand how science all works together. Now, you do artwork of anatomy, and you also are on a mission to really help healthcare students to learn and retain the information that they are given, because in medical schools and pharmacy schools and nursing schools, there's a ton of information that has to be recalled and given back. And hopefully by the time that you're getting to the point of graduation, you're learning how to integrate that and see the whole scope of what is going on with the patient. Now, you have a brand called REV MED, and I was wondering, what inspired you to begin REV MED?
That's an interesting question. I'm going to take it through everything that you were saying, that whole experience, right? From the beginning to the patient experience. Believe it or not, it was interesting. I was sitting in class and noticing my professor teaching a topic that I had watched and listened to and went through from different professors, and I understood it a little differently through illustration and through art. And my professor was teaching through PowerPoints, and a first year med student, first year nursing student will understand it's a lot coming in. And when the professor was teaching it, I saw so many of my classmates and peers, they were all confused. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, hey, I know this because I kind of understood it in a different way. So you mind if I like take you guys after class and kind of like draw it out? I maybe I could explain it and I'll learn myself. So about 4 or 5 of my classmates, they were like, sure, let's do it. After class, I went up to the board and I started drawing out the brachial plexus. If all science nerds and students out there listening, you'll probably remember it's a pretty difficult and annoying topic to encounter in healthcare. And when I started drawing it out, my classmates were loving it. They're like, "Oh, I get it now. Wow, this is not that bad." And I was like, "Sure, yeah." Next day, we had the same thing. Professor was teaching another topic, a little difficult. I did the same thing, but we had 10 students. The classroom just kept getting bigger and bigger after class, of students just waiting to see what I'm going to teach and how I'm going to explain it. Funny enough, professors started joining in, other professors and people in that after school class. So and it was pretty interesting because like I noticed that this one girl would always record me, and she came down to me and she was like, "Hey, I recorded your lecture for the past like 2 3 days. Could I put it on YouTube?" And I'm like, "Yeah, go for it. Let's see what happens." She puts it on YouTube and it becomes a bit of an overnight success in a way. It's a little bit of a mini viral sensation. And we started getting comments from people around the world, understanding the material. So after that, RevMed was born. And it was just understood that people wanted the information displayed differently. And that's about it.
So I love that, because you saw that you had a problem and you went about trying to figure out, how do I best solve this problem?